Hi, hello, welcome. So here we are, Emerald Blue Phoenix, and for those who keep asking me, my name's Michelle. You please feel free to use it when you write to me as well. That's easy done. So we're here to talk about two big astrological events that's going to be happening. The first is going to be on the 8th when we've got Saturn. It's going to be sextiling Neptune. Now, this is the third time that Saturn's going to be sextiling Neptune, and Saturn now in Capricorn. And what's going to be happening is it's also the final time, but this is a really major series that's happened this year. And I'll get on to that because I think many of us in preparation for the 8th are beginning to feel, we're asking ourselves some big questions. And of course, that's all being generated by this coming together of these two planets. On the 12th, we've got the full moon in Taurus, and that is sitting very nicely. That's also got a lot happening. So we've got two big events coming up in the future, but at the moment what's happening 5th, 6th and 7th is we've got a lot of triggering that's been going on. And what do I mean by triggering? Well, triggering is when the planets are in opposition to each other, or planets who have opposing forces are actually joining with other planets. So for instance, what we've had just in these 2 days coming up is we've got Pluto is going to be triggering Venus. Pluto is also going to be triggering Saturn. The moon is going to be triggering with Mars, and Venus is going to be triggering with Uranus. Now, what all of this means is because these triggers are quite tight, it is this bubbling up of all of these emotions that some of us thought we had dealt with, or some of us are a bit surprised about where they've come from. And what happens when you get this rapid triggering that happens, one day, next day, next day, next day, and you get this turbulence, is that it makes us difficult. We feel stuck because we don't know how to interpret all this rapid change. So the only thing we feel is a little confused and a little bit exhausted, and we start to have dreams. Some of them might be verging on the nightmares. We start to be having fears of all sorts of things coming up. And this, of course, is what it's about. Because on Saturn sextiling Neptune, let's think about it. Saturn is all about work, discipline, and planning. And of all of the planets, it's the least inspirational because it's about the routine, the day-to-day, and getting that under control. Now, we have decided to live on the physical plane, so Saturn is unbelievably important to us, and we must get that under control. And Saturn is in Capricorn, so we've got this very earthly planet in a very earthy sign. And so that's making us really focus on and think about aspects of our life, our money, where we're living, how we're living, and our routines. And a lot of us are facing the reality that we're not 100% comfortable at the moment with all of that. So that's something else we need to get around our head around. It's okay to be uncomfortable, and it's okay to question that. Now, Neptune is a bit more loving. It's about acceptance, and it's about devotion. It's definitely about a lot of dreams, and it's also about a lack of clarity, because Neptune is a little bit, not murky, but Neptune is under the sea. You know what happens when we look through water? Things become a little bit distorted. So this is the other aspect of Neptune. It's got these little elements of diffusing light, if you like, and making things look a little bit unclear. So we can sense something and we understand something and we kind of get glimpses of it, but we can't really have this great clarity about what it is. The nice thing about them coming together is Saturn is going to give you that clarity, because that's what Saturn's all about. It's all about making sense of the physical world, and making sense by the physical world by rooting ourselves firmly in it and undertaking the tasks that we need to undertake. So this is a time when we want to be putting together our effort with our dreams. So this is the reason why some of us are beginning to feel uncomfortable, is because we've been wanting to make changes, or we've got a dream behind, but we just feel we've been unable to do that. And most of the time it's because the physical aspects of our work, the fear about money, the fear about security, the realities about money and the realities about security, and not feeling that we can actually go for it. The one thing I want you to be a little bit aware about with Saturn is very either or. We do this or we do that, right? And this is very much the old style thinking about life in this world. Is I was talking about this someone earlier about how a tremendous pressure is placed on us as children to make this choice about career, and then very early on start choosing all the subjects that we want to do about career. And the reality is, it always makes it sound so simple when we're young. Would you like to be a doctor? Would you like to be an accountant? All these specific names. But the job market, the way we're doing business, all of those things are changing. Jobs are disappearing. Jobs are moving. So we might keep the name, but the activities you do underneath that name of that job are different. So there's lots of changes that have been happening. And sometimes our understanding and our thinking about that is a little bit slow. So that's the other thing. If you find yourself getting caught in either or thinking, and this is quite difficult, either or, because it means you have to leave everything behind to take up something new. Or you stick with everything old and you don't take up anything new. That's bullshit, all right? You can choose everything in between that either or. And we're at a stage where some of us really want to be some of the aspects of the old, but we want something different. Great. Just tweak it. Just tweak it. So this is what I'm going to ask you to do. You're going to be thinking you want to make really, really big decisions. I'm going to ask you to not necessarily make those big decisions now. I want you to put that off at least for a couple of weeks till we get this nice full moon. And I want you to think about tweaking your decision. What is a small change I can make now that will satisfy my desire for change, but not create too much thought about fear that I can't do that? All right, it becomes a massive, massive obstacle. So that's the thinking I want you to embrace. So there is the opportunity for us to be combining effort and dreams, and that is going to take place not just now, because we need to have absolute clarity for us. If you have absolute clarity, fantastic, because now's the time to think about planning to make that happen and dreaming about what that could be. You combine dreaming, and remember, dreaming is very much about emotions, and emotions is very much about the key to manifesting, and actioning is very important because we're alive, we're on the physical plane, so we have to enact these things to make it all physically active for us. So that's really, really important. Now what we're going to have is, it is setting us up for big paradigm shifts. And these paradigm shifts are going to be how we think about ourselves, how we think about the work that we're doing, and we're going to be dropping off some limiting thoughts that we've got. And I'm hoping the big limiting thought we drop off is the whole, I either do this or I do that. Now in some instances it's important, like I either leave my job or I don't. I leave the company I'm with or I don't. I understand that. But leaving it doesn't mean you have to leave completely all of your skill sets, all of that work experience you've gained, all of that. You could just twist it, tweak it, and get into something that uses all those skills so the jump is not so big. Leaving a partner, I think there's no two ways about it. If you leave a partner, leave a partner. But that doesn't mean that also that you need to leave your life behind, leave your friends behind, or leave things that you used to do with your partner behind, but you do have to move them somewhat so that you're not constantly there. Okay. Full moon going to be happening 12th of November, which is going to be 4 days after this sextile. And this sextile is all about, remember, it's going to push us to really shift our thinking on something quite massively and really change the way we are going about doing something. It's going to be a real aha moment for some of us, and that's great. The other thing about the full moon is it's going to trine the Saturn sextile Neptune. So we've got this nice little triangle happening. So we've got the full moon, which is all about beginning something new, and that's going to be working with the Saturn sextiling Neptune. So the full moon is giving an extra boost to us if there's something that we want to move into and something new that we want to get under control and take up. And I think that's really great, and I think it's very, very exciting. So the full moon, it's going to be opening up our emotions and our instincts, and that's going to be working very well with Neptune, but you can see how that's going to be triggering against Saturn. And what we need to do is have some great patience with ourselves about how we're thinking, and we're going to have to really draw on some emotional strength so that we stay anchored and don't get too lost in that. So it's a great time to work with our base chakras. I've talked about this a lot earlier. Base chakras are really, really important for keeping us solid, for keeping us earth, and particularly really important if we want to go through a change process, because they keep us anchored into the plane of reality. So it means we can go up and have a little dream, and then we can come back and take that dream and manifest it into something real. Okay. So as sextiling Neptune, so we're going to become highly sensitive. We're going to get far more intuitive, which is going to be really interesting, because we're going to have to be very clear about our intuition and trusting us. And if you're confused about your intuition, then your emotional response to something is a really strong guidance to what your intuition is telling you. Okay. We're going to have a stronger connection to people around us. We might be having to want to spend more time with the people we like, and our tribe is going to become very important. I'm going to encourage you to reach out to people you trust, who you feel can help you, and just have those conversations with your friends. Have a conversation with someone else to give you clarity if you find you're getting caught up in your own thoughts. A lot of people are coming to me and talking about the word stuck, rut, circular thinking. And this is all, of course, got to do with when we're stuck in circular thinking, it's often because we know we need to make a decision, but we just don't feel empowered to make that decision. So what I'm going to tell you to do is bring that decision down into smaller bits and just tweak things a little bit, because that way you can test it and see if you like it and see if it's working for you before you turn the tap completely, say 180 or 360 degrees, and turn it off. So just have a little think about that. The full moon is also going to trine with Pluto. So we've got Neptune and Pluto. And this is going to intensify again our intuition. So we're going to be highly intuitive about things. And this is where the breakthrough thinking comes. When we get a bit of a thought and it's like, bam. And we're not actually 100% sure where that thought came from, but I'm going to tell you now, go with that thought. Don't dismiss it. Even if it seems completely AWOL, just go in and explore that. Okay, AWOL, absent without leave, as in it's completely off base or completely out of the norm. Just have a little think about it. Okay. Now, Mars is going to be sextiling Jupiter, which is really good because Jupiter is about good fortune. Mars is about strength. So we're going to have it's about good fortune, so it's a good expansive time. So this full moon, even though it's happening in a Mercury retrograde, and I know some of us have been hit with the Mercury retrograde, I certainly did, but that's all right, life. And it's put me in a, and let me tell you what it did, because it really damaged something I've become quite dependent on. it made me force something and change something in my life. That's a really interesting thing, right? That's an interesting thing. So that's the only thing that's going to be against this full moon is that factor in Mercury retrograde. So maybe some communication might be astray. But everything else about this full moon is so setting us up to get greater understanding. And to get greater understanding takes effort. And to get greater understanding takes questioning. And often we don't question something until it makes us feel so uncomfortable. And we begin to feel so uncomfortable that then we sit down and question it. Now, if that is what's happening to you, you're in a state where you're feeling so uncomfortable and you're questioning, it's because there's something about how you're doing it and how you're thinking about doing it that needs to change. And this will become a lot clearer after the 12th. This is a really early reading for me, but the 8th is really important, the 12th is really important. So I'm just going to encourage you to take a breath, relax, and get comfortable with this really most uncomfortable energy, because only by sitting down and going into what's making you feel uncomfortable will you begin to understand what it is you're being asked to look at and where the opportunities lie. And remember, this is the last one in the series of 3. The last one. One big push, and then we're through. All right. Take care. Look after yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. And have complete and utter confidence that you are more than capable of working out what you need to do and what action you need to take. And I know it's going to be good for you. Okay, you'll be successful. Bye-bye.